Today, we are diving into a really big shift happening in the accounting world. The focus is moving way beyond just crunching numbers. It's now all about the entire client experience. We're going to break down how firms are using global teams, not just for efficiency, but to totally transform how they serve their clients. So let's get right into it.
So let's just kick things off with a pretty direct question, and it's one that probably keeps a lot of firm owners up at night. In the day-to-day grind, are your clients, the very lifeblood of your business, truly getting the proactive, strategic attention they need and, let's be honest, that they expect?
And here's the central challenge, laid out plain and simple. On one side, you've got what modern clients are asking for. They want an advisor, a real partner who offers personalized insights. But on the other side, you have the firm's reality. Your very best people are buried in essential but really time-consuming operational work. We're here to talk about how to bridge that gap.
This brings us right to our first section, the new client dilemma. Because the game has totally changed. Delivering accurate financials, that's now just the bare minimum, it's table stakes. The real value, the thing that sets you apart, is found way beyond just the numbers.
So the core challenge really boils down to this balancing act. How in the world do you free up your senior team for that high-value strategic advice when they're completely tied up with time-consuming operational tasks? It's a classic resource problem, right?
Okay, so how do we solve it? Well, that brings us to the strategic global solution. Now, it is absolutely essential to reframe this. This is not just about saving money. It's really about a strategic shift. It's about redirecting your firm's most valuable resource, which is your team's time, toward enhancing that client experience.
So what exactly do we mean when we say global team models? Well, essentially, it's all about strategically using a mix of outsourced, nearshore, and specialized offshore teams. And the goal is simple. They handle the firm's operational engine, which frees up your onshore staff for the high-impact, client-facing work they should be doing.
All right, so let's get practical for a second. How does this actually work in the real world? We're going to take a look at 3 distinct models that firms are using right now to achieve this exact balance.
What's really great here is that this is not a one-size-fits-all solution. You can see how you'd pick the right model for the right job. For super process-driven work like fund accounting, a specialized team in India offers incredible reliability. For scaling up routine US GAAP work, it's all about efficiency. But for those urgent requests that need real-time collaboration, that's where a nearshore model, with its overlapping time zone, really shines.
And this leads us to maybe the most important part of this whole explainer, the payoff. We are going to look at the tangible before and after transformation that happens when you actually implement a global team strategy.
Let's start with the before. For a lot of firms, I bet this list looks incredibly familiar. Your highly skilled onshore team is spending the vast majority of its time on essential but pretty repetitive tasks: bookkeeping, reconciliations, preparing standard reports. They're bogged down in the business instead of working on the client's business.
So how do you get from that before state to the after? Well, the process is actually pretty straightforward. First, you identify all those routine, process-driven tasks. Second, you partner with a specialized global team to handle them. Then, you get to redirect your onshore team's focus. And the final, most important step is elevating the service you provide to every single one of your clients.
And this just brilliantly illustrates the after. Look at this list. It's a completely different job description. Instead of reconciling accounts, your team is providing strategic advice. Instead of just preparing statements, they're offering tailored recommendations for growth. They've been elevated from technicians to true advisors, building deeper, much stronger relationships.
And from the client's perspective, this operational shift feels like a massive upgrade. Think about it. They get faster responses, greater consistency, and more accuracy. But most importantly, they get more strategic time from the senior staff that they know and trust. It's a clear win-win.
All right, whenever we talk about this strategy, a few key questions always seem to come up. So let's run through a quick, rapid-fire FAQ to address the most common ones.
First up, a lot of people think this kind of strategy is reserved only for the giant firms. So the big question is, does this actually work for small firms?
And the answer is a definitive yes. Oh, absolutely. The real beauty of these models is their scalability. You can leverage them to get predictable, high-quality service delivery whether you're a team of 5 or 500.
Okay, next question, and this one's a bit more specific. It's about responsiveness. We mentioned that nearshore model. Does it really guarantee a faster response time for your clients?
Yes, it absolutely does. And the key is the overlapping time zones. When a client has an urgent question pop up during their business day, a team member is actually available for real-time collaboration with your onshore staff. This completely closes that frustrating response gap.
And now for perhaps the most critical question of all. We're talking about outsourcing work, right? So how does this ultimately affect the firm's most important asset, its client relationships?
You know, the answer might seem a little counterintuitive, but this strategy actually enhances client relationships. By delegating all that routine work, you free your senior, client-facing staff to do what they do best: engage, advise, and build those personal connections. You're not weakening the relationship, you're strengthening it.
So how quickly can you actually see the impact of all this? This is what's so powerful. We're not talking about some years-long transformation here. Many firms report seeing measurable improvements in both efficiency and client experience within just 1 or 2 reporting cycles. The impact is fast.
So let's just land on this key takeaway. If you remember one thing from all this, it should be this. The paradigm has shifted. In modern accounting, the experience you provide is every bit as critical to your success as the accuracy of the numbers you deliver.
And that brings us to our final thought. I'll just leave you with this question to think about. If you could free your team from that daily operational grind, what could you build? What new services could you offer? How much deeper could your client relationships go? The possibilities are really worth thinking about. Thanks for tuning in.